Welcome to another episode of EV Rider. This time we are in the Fisker Ocean 1 Launch Edition, and with me is Mike Tennis, the owner. Now, Mike, let's start by just telling me real quickly about your YouTube channel, because we're kind of doing a crossover here.
Well, thank you so much. The channel's name is the Fisker Ocean Specialist, and I created it just to really highlight the features of the Fisker Ocean.
I'm really excited to be in a Fisker because we're talking about a brand new from the ground up automotive company, and my very first impressions out of the gate is this doesn't feel like a brand new out of the box car. And I mean that in the best way possible. In other words, it doesn't rattle, it doesn't feel dodgy, it feels very refined first impressions.
I noticed that too, and it was interesting because the vehicles in the beginning were delivered to people's homes via a closed truck, and that is awesome in regards to like Christmas time. And that first test drive I took, it was just so quiet.
I think one of the best features about the Fisker is the actual design. I mean, this is a good looking EV, and I know some people have been critical of Henrik Fisker, but I doubt too many people would criticize his eye for design.
Everything that I personally love about it, like the solar sky roof, which in California mode operates with every other piece of glass and opens you up to the world. That is so unique. The paint schemes that they have, the first launch edition vehicles were in hues that represent the ocean. They really wanted to capture so many unique aspects that brought the ocean to life.
Well, and you can tell in this case a designer actually also is the CEO by the number of unique Easter eggs that have made production. Now, I know you know about them much more than I do, so go ahead and rattle off some of the ones that folks are going to be delighted by.
Oh, well, when the door handles pop out from the vehicle when you're in the unlock stage or in the park stage, you have little surfers, we call them Surfer Girl, and the more you look, the more you find her. Well, just the other day I found when you lift this up, there's a rock climber on the inside of this center console piece where the taco tray is hidden, and that was one of the many Easter eggs that you find.
Now, another thing that Fisker enthusiasts probably know, but certainly the general public doesn't know, is this is actually made by a separate company called Magna, and they've got quite a track record. For example, they also build the Jaguar I-Pace EV.
Jaguar I-Pace is a stunning vehicle, and Magna is well known for their European build quality. Magna is in Austria, but they are known not only for the I-Pace, but you have the Mercedes G-Wagon, among some other very famous European models that you commonly come across on this street, and you really can tell that it is a Magna product when you simply shut the door and it's got that thud.
I always find it interesting to see what real owners think of a vehicle. So I really want to know what you think of the handling, how you're finding the real world range. How is this as a day-to-day car?
I'm a first-time EV owner.
Okay.
I have test driven a Model Y, and that's about it. When I drove this vehicle, the first thing I noticed is how quiet, and I can really appreciate that because for me, conversation's important as well as listening to music. So if I have to crank the music up to 20 just to hear or get in the mood, then it's really not that fun to drive the vehicle for me. So that was a big difference from the previous vehicles that I've owned, where the engine kind of drones out everything in the cabin. Also, being that it's such a heavy vehicle, it has its benefits because of handling. Mm-hmm. Abby Eaton, a very famous driving enthusiast, she designed Fisker's handling and suspension. So the tuning aspect was largely in part of her knowledge on the subject as they went lap by lap around the track. This vehicle has almost no body roll in the turn.
That is one of the best things about owning an EV that gasoline drivers probably don't realize is how far cars have come.
You know, it took me a week and a half, and that's really all I had with this vehicle before my wife and I and my two sons took our first trip of this new year up to Helen, Georgia. And we took her 2019 Chevrolet Traverse High Country, which is a big vehicle. It's a family vehicle, and I drive everywhere. So when I got in there after driving this for just a week and a half, the transmission shifting it took me by surprise, because I'm already used to driving an EV and having instant power and instant torque, and I want to pass this person, I can, and I feel safer, honestly, in that regard, driving an EV because of the instant power. I can get away from some of those situations where you can see distracted drivers on the road texting. You're like, I don't want to be near that person. And for me, that was important. So when I was driving that Traverse, the hunting of the gears, the loud engine, I was more sensitive, and my hearing was more attentive to those things. And I was just like, man, I would have never paid attention to this before.
Now, is there anything so far about either EV ownership in general or the Ocean specifically that you don't like?
When I first took ownership of the Ocean, I was like, is plugging the vehicle in 2 times a week or whatever the commute, if for me it's 2 times a week, is that going to be inconvenient? No. I plug it in, I wake up, so that immediately was eliminated from my list of possible dislikes. I have yet to take it on a big road trip in which I have to use some of those charges, and I lean on reviewers like yourself to kind of give me that experience ahead of time so I know what to expect. But I would say the only thing that I don't like is maybe just some of the simplicity. I'm a military guy. I like complex, and when I say military, I'm in a jet. So buttons and gauges and things, and as much as I can appreciate the artistic design and the simplicity, I also sometimes just miss some of those buttons.
That makes sense. What are you finding so far in terms of real world range? What are you getting?
Well, so max capacity of this battery will yield 360 miles. My consumption is a little bit more than what the promised value is.
Would you say you're realistically getting more than 300?
I would say it would be right about 310, 320.
When you head to a DC fast charging station, this thing will hit a rated peak of 200 kilowatts, which Fisker says is good for a 10 to 80% charge in 35 minutes. And by the way, you don't have to worry about whether this is future-proof, because Fisker has reached a deal with Tesla. It will be getting a NACS adapter, which means Fisker owners will be able to use these at Tesla superchargers by early 2025.
The solar panel on this Fisker Ocean 1, which is the large panoramic glass above the driver, does give anywhere from 2 to 5 miles per day in sunny conditions like what you see here in the state of Florida. And that's one of the reasons I really wanted the one in particular. The Extreme also has a solar roof for all those who are also interested in that solar capability. The one thing I haven't mentioned yet is Revolve, which the central display will actually go into landscape mode while you're charging, and you can watch TV shows or movies on it.
The horizontal mode works while parked for things like watching video while charging or waiting to pick someone up. The Ocean makes excellent use of its 360-degree cameras. However, the infotainment system is missing a few things. It doesn't have AM radio, HD radio, satellite radio, Android Auto, or Apple CarPlay, currently limiting customers to a few music apps or Bluetooth streaming. Fisker said in 2023 it is looking into potentially adding Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Now you might be surprised to learn, at least at the time of this recording, the Fisker Ocean actually base priced at $37,500, although you can quickly get above $60,000. Taking a look at the Ocean's utility, there's room in the back for 3 across when needed, with real leg space for the center passenger. When just 2 are in back, the center seat folds down to reveal the rear seat HVAC controls, including heated seats and cup holders. The Ocean is also one of the few SUVs out there to have power reclining rear seats. Out back, it has a cargo capacity of 28.7 feet. That jumps to 45 feet when the rear seats are flipped down. However, there's no front trunk. In fact, the front hood is only meant to be open for servicing. Up front, the Ocean can double as a rolling office on wheels. It includes a center console fold-out tray that works with laptops. The passenger also gets a laptop-worthy tray that takes the place of a traditional glove box. But those proverbial gloves can easily be stashed along with a purse or other items under the center console or under the front passenger seat. So next, we're going to take this on Interstate 295, and we put it in hyper mode. So if the traffic allows, we're going to give it the beans as we get on 295. We're not doing the full boost mode, but we're going to get at least a taste here. So here we go. We're going to slow down, and we're going to punch it.
That feeling never gets old.
It never gets old, and we are already to 70 miles per hour. So that is not bad, and that, of course, isn't the fastest it would go 0 to 60. So tell me about the boost mode, Mike.
Boost mode unlocks almost 100 more horsepower, and the designers and engineers allow only for 500 of those. So I still got 500 remaining. I actually want you to experience boost mode. I'm not sure if the current model of Mustang that you have will have the same feeling as this boost. So I'm kind of excited to watch your reaction as we get into this.
Well, I fully expect that it is going to significantly outdo my Mach-E because, of course, I've got a mid-range premium edition with all-wheel drive, but I do not have the GT Performance. In fact, you know, the GT Performance is somewhat similar in that while it doesn't limit you to 500, what it does do is limit you to 5 seconds at a time to protect the battery and to make sure that things don't overheat. And it's interesting how the different automakers are taking different steps. For example, we have a mutual friend, Delina, and in her Watch the Freedom mode and in her Hummer, there is an entire setup process before you can even get to it.
Wow.
I have another friend that has a Model S Plaid, same thing. There's a process before you can really unlock everything. You can't just poop and go. You got to wait for things to just get perfect, and then you get maximum torque.
In the Navy, I was catapulted off a carrier one time, and this is as close to that feeling as you get. Just the 0 to off the wow in a few seconds is an exhilarating feeling of G-force.
That is such a good description. And not one that many people would be able to come up with, because obviously the rest of us don't have that kind of life experience. Here we go. Ready, Mike?
I'm ready.
And we're off. Oh, that is a nice kick.
Oh, yeah.
That is a very nice kick.
That is around 560 ponies.
You know, from a size perspective, the Fisker Ocean and the Mustang Mach-E are actually fairly similar. Even when it comes to pricing, they're sort of similar. If you guys would like to see a tale of the tape between the Fisker Ocean and the Mustang Mach-E, let me know. You know, designer Henrik Fisker has sure come a long way since his original company and the Karma. This is a gorgeous car, I gotta say it. And if you've enjoyed this episode of EV Rider, please give this video a like, hit that notification bell, and subscribe to my YouTube channel so I can continue to bring you more adventures in EV motoring. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you again soon.